Ralston, 127 hours in Blue John Canyon. He didn't tell anyone where he was going. That single decision, made casually, on a Saturday morning in April, is the reason. This story almost ended with a body that nobody found for weeks. His name was Aron Ralston. He was 27 years old, a mechanical engineer who had walked away from a corporate career to do the one thing that made him feel alive: climb. He had already conquered dozens of Colorado's most brutal peaks. He was experienced, fit, and completely confident in his own ability to handle anything the wilderness threw at him. On the morning of April 26, 2003, he rode his bicycle 15 miles to the entrance of Blue John Canyon in southeastern Utah, a remote slot canyon in Canyonlands National Park, 20 miles from the nearest paved road and 100 feet below the desert surface. He planned to be back by evening. He brought 2 burritos and 350 milliliters of water. He told nobody where he was going. Blue John Canyon is breathtaking and brutal in equal measure. In some places, it measures just 3 feet wide. The sandstone walls rise hundreds of feet on both sides, pressing in until the sky becomes a thin strip of blue far above. It is exactly the kind of place Aron Ralston lived for: remote, technical, silent, and completely unforgiving of mistakes. At 2:45 in the afternoon, as Ralston descended through a narrow section of the canyon, he stepped onto a large boulder wedged between the canyon walls. He had done this hundreds of times before. He knew how to read the rock. He knew what was stable and what wasn't. This boulder moved. It shifted under his weight, rolled on its pinch points, and came down directly onto his right hand and forearm, pinning them against the canyon wall with 800 pounds of solid sandstone. In the time it takes to blink, Aron Ralston's world collapsed to a space 3 feet wide and the length of his own arm. He didn't panic, not immediately. He was a trained outdoorsman, and his mind went straight to problem solving. He tried pulling. He tried levering. He tried everything he could think of to shift the boulder even a fraction of an inch. It didn't move. He tried chipping at the rock with his multi-tool knife. The blade barely scratched the surface. He tried rigging ropes above himself to create a lifting system. Nothing worked. The boulder weighed 800 pounds. He weighed 160. The mathematics were not in his favor. As the sun dropped below the canyon walls and the temperature fell sharply, Ralston faced his first night trapped in the canyon. He had no sleeping bag. He had no jacket. The sandstone walls that had absorbed the desert heat all day now radiated cold. He pressed himself against the rock and waited for dawn. By the second day, the reality of his situation had fully arrived. Nobody knew where he was. Nobody would come looking in Blue John Canyon specifically. His food supply was 2 burritos. His water was already running low, and his trapped arm, completely cut off from circulation,